Hello everyone, welcome to episode number 4 of the Refreshing Habits with Donna, and today we have our first guest. So I'm joined with Kate Curtis today, and we're really just going to look into overwhelm, looking into setting boundaries, whether you're a perfectionist, looking at certain blocks that we hold in front of us that really stop us from moving forward. And this is in just general life, business, fitness, any health-related kind of incentives we've got, and even, like I say, work-related as well, whether you're changing career or want to progress in your career. And you as a person, are you stopping any blocks physically, mentally? So we're just going to have a conversation today. It's going to be quite casual. Again, it's very much unscripted. And we kind of go ahead. So I will introduce Kate. So Kate, if you want to let us know, let the audience know about you and what you do, and a little bit of your kind of snippet of your story as well, would be great.
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name's Kate. Thank you for having me, Donna. I'm absolutely delighted you asked me to come onto your podcast. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And my first guest.
I know, I'm absolutely honoured, totally honoured. So thank you. I'm a coach. I specialise in females in business, and what I do, I help them manage the balance between work and also life. I think any woman in business would understand that you really need both to work in harmony together for maximum success. It can be quite easy to kind of focus on one and let the other one go, and vice versa. So I work with my clients to have an overall balance between the two. And we focus on overwhelm, procrastination, self-esteem, self-criticism. We look at boundaries, and it's really overcoming all of those things that, when you sit at your desk and you think, God, what do I do now? I can't do that because, but that would mean that I would need to do this, or maybe I should do that first. And it's really easy then to either scroll on your phone and you've lost an hour. I've done this, and I end up looking at someone that I went to school with, brothers, cousins, uncles' wedding photos on Facebook or something. Yeah. And then an hour has passed. I'm like, oh, it's lunchtime. I'm going to go off and do my lunch now. And before I know it, it's 2:00 and I did nothing. And then it's that spiral then, you're feeling really low about yourself because, yet again, you didn't show up in your business today. And also you didn't do anything in your home. You just kind of sat there. And I think that's such a negative cycle to be in. And I don't want any woman to ever feel that they have to settle for the situation that they find themselves in.
Yes, love that.
We are all capable.
So relatable, isn't it? So relatable with everything. Because even as coaches, we still have to battle with that ourselves.
100%. It's, it is a daily thing, isn't it? I think part of being self-employed, or, whatever you do, you've got to get up in the morning and show up for yourself, for no one else. It has to just be for you and for the passion of what you do and for the purpose of what you do. That actually leads me quite nicely into my story. Cool. And how I found myself doing coaching, because I had my second child in 2012, and I had two. They were literally just 2 years apart, almost to the day, and it was really hard, really hard. And working was just difficult, and I had some really bad experiences with employers letting me down. So I thought, right, I'm going to pull all the skills I've learned to this point. I was early 30s. I've worked in corporate environments for a couple of decades by then. No, what am I saying? A decade or so by then.
And what were you doing then?
So I was doing finance. So okay. I've worked in various finance departments. I've done a sprinkling of retail here and there as well. But it was the bulk of my CV was a financial support basis. So I thought, do you know what, this is something that I could easily pick up and make a bit of money from and work it around the kids. And that's what I did. I did a bookkeeping course, and I basically went out and went onto Facebook, joined some local Facebook groups, and I was like, right, okay, I can do bookkeeping, and I supported other small businesses. Now, the thing that I loved about that was actually meeting these business owners and helping them, like knowing that they would come to me and say, well, can we do this? What about this? Will the finances allow that? How are we going to pay so-and-so? And, we were problem solving, both of us together. And I really, really enjoyed that part of the business. And sometimes I would be invited into meetings to try and help them with the budget or stuff like that. And ultimately, that's what I enjoyed. I hated doing the numbers.
Okay.
I hated the data entry, and I hated the admin, and I hated having receipts all around me and paperwork. And I found, actually, as the years went on, I became more that I was working to a deadline. So, if a certain return had to be in by midnight that night, I was doing it at 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
And that is not the way to service a client that's paying for your services. And it made me feel rubbish about myself and what I offered. And unfortunately,
and I think it causes more stress as well.
It adds to stress, I think, because you feel like you're failing. I knew that I should have been getting up in the morning thinking, right, I've got that return to do for so and so. I've got to do that payroll. I've got to do and want to do it and feel passionate about doing it because I wanted to serve these people. And it's not that I didn't want to serve them. I knew their businesses were really important. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Now, I know now that my mental health was really suffering at that point, because basically what had happened, I had put myself in a position because it was easy for me, but it actually wasn't aligned to what I really wanted to do.
Okay.
So I started to feel a bit of imposter syndrome. I'd go to networking meetings. I wouldn't really speak up. I wouldn't tell people what I did. And I would feel a lot of imposter syndrome. I'd feel a lot of guilt because I knew that I wasn't really pulling my weight. So I'd feel like I was failing, but then I'd kind of tell everyone I was so busy. I'd make myself really busy. And then I'd have the other side that I'm thinking, well, why am I not showing? I'm either not showing up at work, but I'm not showing up at home. Like things aren't being done around the house because I need to pretend that I'm busy at work. And the whole thing was just a bit of a disaster.
You just lost. It sounds like the passion of it just got lost because of the little bit of like stress, and then stress built up, and then you lose that kind of love for it, don't you? Really,
100%. Yeah, 100%. So I had to. It was my mental health really suffered big time, and because I didn't have that energy in me. I didn't have a good vibration about me. I didn't have a good energy in me. And I wasn't looking after myself because ultimately every day was a struggle because I was doing something that I didn't like and I wasn't enjoying. And something had to change. So I started to really think about what I liked about what I did. And I also wanted to kind of turn around my own story and think, well, what have I learned from that? And also because of the mental health difficulties I'd had postnatal depression with both my children and managed to kind of build a business. My husband had a business as well. So I actually managed 2 or 3 businesses during that period of time.
wow.
It's really hard to show up. It's really, really hard to show up when you're suffering.
Yeah. We mask it, don't we? We put a mask on, and then all of the mental health and the daily battles, like even though they might be really small and insignificant to people, it seems massive when we have to mask it, and then we hold it in our bodies. We just become so overwhelmed with it, and then you just become ill.
Joe, it's really interesting. I completely agree with you. And you're kind of, it's like you're eating away at yourself and your own soul, and you're not enriching yourself. And when you say about a mask, that's so interesting because I used to go to the school playground to pick the kids up and I didn't want to see anybody. I really, really didn't want to see anybody. I felt so ashamed of what was going on internally for me. And obviously I wasn't well either. So I used to wear a hood you know, like a hoodie top or, you know, my parka coat or whatever, and put my headphones in and just stand at the back and just hope to God that no one talked to me, because I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to see anybody. And I just slip in and slip out again, or I purposely turn up late. When I drop them off, I drop the kids off at the last minute rather than having that hang around the playground thing and chat. Small talk. I didn't want to do small talk. I was not in the mood to small talk to anyone.
And it's because like you've just got nothing else left to give. You know, like you probably given everything out to everyone else in just general life, that you are just empty, and then that's it. You've got nothing else to kind of give out. And I'm a real one now, especially on like my own sort of journey of setting the boundaries in place of the amount of energy you give out to people, because you then neglect yourself and you've got nothing left.
Boundaries are so important, and I think, you know, people talk about boundaries so much that the impact of that word can lose its impact, but it's massively important, hugely. But one thing I just want to say as well, something I read, there's a booklet on Mind on the website, and I found this really important thing, and it said about how good mental health is about your own behaviour and what you do. And to quote it, it says, "You care about yourself and you care for yourself. You love yourself, not hate yourself. You look after your physical health, eat well, sleep well, exercise, and enjoy yourself. You see yourself as being a valuable person in your own right, and you don't have to earn the right to exist. You exist, so you have the right to exist." And it goes on. But I read that, I thought, wow, that is massively powerful.
And did you read that when you were going through that time, or have you found that since?
I didn't, and I found that since. And if I'd read that at the time, I think that would make a big difference. But the reason I think it had an impact on me when I read it recently was because that is pretty much, when I'm coaching, I am looking at someone as the whole person and the value that whole person has and the impact that whole person has. Yeah. And that's why it stood out to me when I read it.
It's really interesting, actually. There's a couple of things you said from that. So I heard something the other day. It was like you have a quarter life crisis. But for me personally, when I kind of got into my 30s, I just had like a bit of a total loss of identity. And this is probably very, very similar when you become a parent as well. You just lose an identity. You evolve into a new person, and sometimes you've got to strip back that ego to let the new version of you like evolve, if that makes sense. And I like really think that needs to be out there more, because you can almost get really down, depressed, because you're not living as the old you, because you're evolving as a person.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, wow, that's I love that. I really love that, Donna. It's so cool. It's so true. My 30s passed me in a haze, and you know, I'm nearly 43. I'm 43 next month, and my 30s were not about me. I got married in my late 20s, and I was 31 when I had my first child. So they were not about me. I didn't nurture myself. I didn't look after myself. I was giving everything to somebody else. But in 2019, when I turned 40, it was like a light bulb moment, and there was a couple of things that have happened to me that have changed, completely made me pivot. And I think in 2019, I realised that just that I'd had 10 years of not being me, and I had completely devalued myself, and I had just put myself in a box of what I do. And I actually thought, well, this isn't actually what I'm capable of doing. This is serving a purpose for what I need right now. But actually, I'm out of that. You know, my kids are now a bit more independent, and this is the time for me now. And I need to really search and think about what I want to do.
Yeah. And really, whenever you start a different business or a different part in life, there's no kind of limit or like an age limit of when that's going to happen.
No.
You know, like I always had this thing of, oh no, I'm going to be 35. Like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And now I'm like, this year going into, I'm 37. I'm thinking, oh, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Like, I've got no control over the number of age and what I do with my work life. You know, it's like that kind of point. But I imagine, I mean, I haven't got children, but that is like, if someone out there is like, oh no, you're 37, like, and you've not got kids but you want children, it's almost like an extra pressure. So then there's that aspect of it. And then again, with starting business or changing your body and going on a new health journey, it doesn't have to happen when you're in your 20s or 30s. It can happen in your 40s and 50s, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I think, you know, so for me, when I turned 40 and I actually, I had a big party. I stood on the stage and I did this big speech and thanking all these people, important people in my life that helped me get to where I wanted to be and blah, blah, blah. And I suddenly realised that I loved that. And it gave me a real buzz standing there talking to people. And I thought, okay, what am I doing sat behind a screen entering receipts? That isn't me. Yeah. And the energy, I wasn't drinking that night, so it wasn't alcohol fueled.
You're brave.
I wanted to soak it up. I wanted to enjoy the moment. And so I didn't drink. And I thought, wow, that was incredible. I stood up and I talked and I spoke from my heart and from my soul. And I enjoyed it. And I thought, and that was a big turning point for me. And then I started to look at things and I did a course and I retrained and I spoke to my husband about it and I completely chucked in my bookkeeping so I could focus on this. And it's been, well, it is literally life-changing, completely life-changing. I'm a new person because I'm doing what I'm meant to do.
And like you say, you've got, like what I was saying earlier, you've got that passion now. So the passion drives you to get the motivation to do these small kind of things in the day that make you feel good, in regards of just like, you know, the working from home, we can sometimes be a bit lazy. You've got to be self-motivated. You've got to put these things in place. So now you've got that passion back, that little bit of fire, you can get it done.
I mean, how much do you feel, Donna, when you see someone's results of how you've helped them?
Yeah, it is amazing. And even if it's not a physical change, the mental change is so much more rewarding than a physical change. I mean, my kind of like coaching now and my work, and even with my own work on me, it's more that we're more than just how our body looks, especially when you look into the mental health side of things. You know, there's so much more to us than just how we look. And that's coming from the fitness industry angle in regards of like weight loss, because every journey is so different. And don't get me wrong, I posted lots of selfies when I was in my 20s and I was always at the gym, and again, my life was different. I didn't really kind of do an office job, so I was in a gym. So obviously I can take selfies in a gym. And it wasn't healthy. My mental health was completely all over the place back then, but I looked a certain way. And then evolving on my own journey, it's kind of like, who cares? As long as you're healthy in regards of the sleep, the, you know, eating well to fuel your body, doing the kind of things that work for you to level out your stress in your day-to-day life, drinking your water, having your vitamins. That is what's important in regards to the health and well-being side of things.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about that inner voice and the self-criticism / imposter syndrome, because I am fully aware of imposter syndrome, but I'm not too sure many of my not too many sure of my listeners may be familiar with imposter syndrome. So I know me and you have probably, we have struggled with this, and sometimes we probably still do struggle with this, but a little bit more of this sort of how you would help someone with that.
Okay, so to start with, to give an understanding of it, I think it's that you kind of feel it in the pit of your stomach that you're somewhere where you really shouldn't be. And for me, it was in a networking environment. You know, you sell someone a bookkeeper and instantly they want to talk to you about tax returns. And I hated them. And, my clients would ask me questions that I didn't know the answer to. And actually, I didn't need to know the answer, an accountant would, but I felt like I should know it. And I would beat myself up about it. And I wouldn't want to show up and I wouldn't want to be there, because who am I? I'm not the expert. Who am I to help them? Why am I here, Kate? What are you doing? You don't know what you're doing. You're not qualified, blah, 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 blah. Now, I think if that was my client, what we talk about is actually looking at practically looking at their skill set. If we're talking about in a practical sense of working here, what we do a bit of a skills audit, if you like, and look at everything they've done and what they've experienced, and really give them that sense of self-worth and appreciate really who they are and what they bring to the table. And we also look at the evidence. A lot of them will say to me, but I can't do that. Or, for example, a client of mine had one session with somebody that didn't go very well. It went okay, but the client never came back. And it really put her off. She was like, well, who am I to do this? I'm not the right person. I was like, where's the evidence? I said, you are telling yourself a story you actually don't have any evidence of. You're telling yourself that she didn't come back because of something you did, or because you weren't any good, or because you weren't the expert, or whatever. I said, you actually don't know that that's true. So I think that to put it in a quick way is, I think, and one of the most powerful questions for me in coaching is to say to someone, what evidence have you got of that? Because 9 times out of 10 there isn't any, and it's a story that you're telling yourself, and it keeps you small, and it ultimately keeps you safe.
Yeah, and it's about facing that fear of stepping out into it, isn't it? Which is tough. Like, I get it. I totally get like imposter syndrome and stuff I do. Even like when we mentioned about podcasts, I was like, yeah, I've recorded some episodes. I'm just sitting on the button. I'm not going to press it. Yeah.
So in that instance, Donna, what made you do it?
Because I don't know. Just because you feel like, well, it's there. I've got the belief in what I'm trying to help people with.
Yeah.
That it's going to be of service to someone, and if it can help someone, then it's valuable, isn't it? Even just that one person, if it can help them, then yeah.
And what happens what happens if you don't post it?
That it's just going to stay there, isn't it? And no one's even going to know, and I'm not going to be able to spread the word of like the reasons why I'm doing this podcast, because again, it is a passion of mine. So I think the passion actually on this kind of made me press that button, as you know. Yeah, and that's interesting. It is that evidence, because when I went through some coaching, well, not even coaching, sorry, some therapy, some talking therapy, because I love a bit of therapy, I do, and it's got
me too.
And it was actually therapy for body dysmorphia that I was on, and he said, other people's opinions we've got no control of, but are they factual? Are the thoughts that you're telling yourself, or that someone else has maybe said in a just a flippant comment, is that a fact? And I, like you with what you said, that little example, and that's what I like to use. I'm like, is this just an opinion or is it a fact?
Yeah. So powerful.
Instantly
resets that thought, instantly.
And have you ever read or downloaded the book called The Big Leap?
No.
So if you look into that, Hendrick, I think his name is. I'll have to have a look and perhaps put it in the show notes underneath on this podcast. Yeah, The Big Leap, that really helps me. And every now and then I dip into it. And it is about the imposter syndrome. It's about the self-criticism and almost your upper limit of where you need to be. So we can push forward in life and push forward. We never really look back, but we reach that upper limit of our current capabilities. Right. But all of a sudden, imposter syndrome creeps in and it stops us. And then we can either stay there or go down. And it's about breaking through into that next level of your upper limit, because your upper limit will always progress and build. Sure. There's no end to that. But it's amazing how the imposter syndrome can just stop you. And sometimes what I notice, if I get so far with either any kind of goal in life that I set myself, I will all of a sudden get a little bit poorly, or just make excuses up. And it's almost like your body and your mind is going, hang on a minute, I'm uncomfortable with this feeling of feeling good. Yeah. Let's just put a little, chuck something in there, make you feel bad, and create a little bit of a lower mood to stop you feeling this good, because we're not used to it. But it's really interesting. Every now and then I dip into it still, and I think I first listened to that in 2018 or 19, I think.
Yeah.
So, and then perfectionism, I mean, me and you are both perfectionists. I think it's very much of that A-type personality. We won't put something out there unless we feel it's absolutely perfect. And if it's not, then we won't get it out there. But we need to debunk that. And that's a lot with the coaching, isn't it? So if we relate that to the exercise and being perfect, you want to go out, for example, you gave me before I press record, you think, I want to go run 10K, but you haven't got the time, and you don't think, I can't get to 10K right now, so I'm just not going to run at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, it's okay not to be perfect. And what is perfect as well?
Yeah. I mean, so I think perfectionism is a huge thing. Now, I didn't realise I was a perfectionist. I didn't think I lived my life in a perfect way. I don't have a perfect house. It's not, it's not hinged, if you say. And, I'm not, sometimes I don't dye my hair and it's grey, and, I don't paint my nails all the time. Yeah, I'm not perfect in that sense that I thought perfectionism was. But then as I started to build my business, I realised actually what I was doing was putting these limitations on, because as you're saying, it's like, well, I can't do that quite yet, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. It's not perfect, so I'm not going to do it. And we're talking about evidence and things. I recently did my website. I knew that for me, I wanted to build my business on something that I owned and that it was mine, and not on a social media platform. Okay. So that's kind of become that's going to be my hub of my business. And I procrastinated that over a long time, because I was like, it's not perfect. I haven't had a brand shoot. I don't know my brand colours. I don't know this. And in the end, I was like, this is ridiculous. You are not going to move forward unless you get this done. I did it. I thought, it's all right. I'm happy with that. And I sent it out, and I've had incredible, really, really good feedback on it. And yeah, it's not perfect. I think about things every day that I need to add in. But the main thing is that right now, my name is on the internet. And yes, it's not perfect, but there's something of me out there.
That's amazing. You have inspired me to update my website, because even at this moment in time, these podcasts, there isn't a link on my website, and I do need to overhaul it and rebrand it a little bit as well. But that is on the to-do list. But again, it's like we overthink it so much, and that's where I'm at right now. I'm thinking, I don't really know where to start with that, and and it's thinking it doesn't have to be perfect as long as you just get it out there. So I'll take that tip on board.
Good. So and in terms of that, when you are faced with a task and you think, and this is when I'm talking about the overwhelm of life and the fear of failing and the worry, and you can look at it on a big scale. You can look at it on just that, on a little scale, getting a task done. And what I would say is just, it doesn't have to be perfect, just to get started. And even if just getting started means that you're going to get your phone, you're going to set yourself a timer for 20 minutes, whatever time feels manageable right now, what you've got the headspace for. It might be 10, might be an hour. Just think, I'm just going to dedicate this little part of my day to this one thing. And for me, I know that means I feel that a little bit happier that day, because I made a difference to myself and to my business.
Yeah, that's amazing.
just in 20 minutes, it will massively energize me, and it will motivate me to do something else rather than making it this huge thing. I mean, it sounds really simple, but I think when we're in it, we don't think like that. And it does take someone just to kind of wave at you and say, it's okay, you can do it in little chunks. You haven't got to do it in one massive big move.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm like that with exercise. I say to people, if you can just do 20, like say, time you get your clothes on and get set up, put some music on, that's like 30 minutes. So, well, not to do that, but, it might be some days. But yeah, if you like add 5 minutes to get ready, then set a timer for 25 minutes just to do some kind of movement, whatever your body feels like doing in that day, whether it be a body weight exercise, whether it be some yoga, some Pilates, or if you've got some equipment, just that half an hour in your day is going to make you feel so much better.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be extreme. The same with the work, same with the business. You haven't got to completely overhaul your website in that 25 minutes. It can be just one page where you've edited some of the text. But if you did that each day, after, say, a week or 10 days, that's it, it's done. That massive task has been ticked off because you completed it.
Yeah. I mean, you're recording this podcast with me now. If you then thought, well, after this, I'm going to go off and have a cup of tea, have my lunch, whatever, and then I'm going to sit down for 15 minutes and I'm going to add my podcast link. That is a huge, huge move forward for your business. Massive. And no doubt that will energize you and you feel like I'm really taking my passion here and I'm doing something incredible with it.
Exactly.
You create momentum.
And that is it, exactly. And momentum with, even like momentum with housework, I mean, I'm terrible. And if one day I've done like a load of washing and dried it, that's a massive achievement for me.
Oh my God, how good does that feel? That's in the bottom of the laundry basket. I mean, wow.
Yeah. And then some days what I do is I have my coffee, I put a load of washing in, I then go and do my 25-minute, half an hour workout, then I shower. By the time I've done that, the washing is done, and then I let it dry. So that's like a winning. I'm winning at life there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I get it. And I think, but you see, that's the problem that I've had, is that because I want that quick win, that's something to make me feel better, I'll go to something that I know I can do, which might be putting the washing on or, washing up or whatever. And then what I've done is neglect the business. So I feel good in one part and I feel all shiny and glowing. But then I actually feel really rubbish because I've still not made any money. I've not moved the needle and I've not shown up. So I try and help people get that balance, and it's never perfect, but they work so intrinsically together. It's so important to keep the momentum on both sides of things, so you don't feel rubbish on either one.
And it's also the mental state that it's okay if perhaps one day you have worked all on your business and you haven't had the time to do some other tasks, because the next day you can balance that out. Sometimes we beat ourselves up if we haven't done something, but we haven't got to do it all in one day, not everything. So it is getting that understanding. There are going to be some days you are going to feel a little bit low vibe, but try not to beat yourself up about it, because the next day is a new day. You might be a bit more on form.
Oh, absolutely. Completely. Saturday morning I felt a bit towards life generally. And I don't know what that was. And I thought, oh God, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? But it's just a moment, because I was at that point a bit overwhelmed by what I had to do at home, because it's the weekend and obviously, washing and kids and whatever. And actually by today I've sorted myself out and I'm in a good mood and I'm ready to go forward. I've had a word with myself and realised what I can control and what I can't control, which is another massive thing.
Oh yeah.
Being a podcast in itself, to be honest.
That's it, and it is about micromanaging stuff, isn't it? We can get so being like a perfectionist, you can just try and manage every single aspect of what's going on, but there's so many things that are going to happen in our day where we've got no control over. So it's starting to learn how to deal with them moments as well.
100%. And, you know, knowing that you can't fix everything. You can't do anything and you can't fix everyone or everything. You know, those things are out of your control.
And it's very much, I mean, I looked into quite a lot about the female cycle and hormones and our mood around the hormones, especially if you're in sort of the perimenopause stage leading up to that point in life. And it really fascinated me that society in business and sort of with everything we do is mainly focused on the male 24-hour clock. And a man goes through in the 24 hours of his hormones, a woman will go through in 28 to 32 days.
Wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah, it literally, that blew my mind when it comes to my own business and with my exercise and just housework and stuff. I was like, sometimes it's we've made ourselves, as society has made us feel like we've got to do everything in one day, but actually on a hormone level of how we are as women, some days we're not going to be on, some weeks we're not going to be on form, and then some weeks we can smash it, you know. And I've learned as well to track that process and know that there's like a week where I am on form with my training, with my clients, with my work, and there is a week where I'm not on form and I really go in on myself and I don't do a lot, but I still get snippets done, like the 25-minute time blocking. And it's the mindset that actually it's okay for me to feel like that this week. I'm just going to ride the wave because I know that there's a reason for me feeling like this. And in 10 days' time, I'm going to be back in the game, you know, and back through everything.
Yeah. I probably honestly don't acknowledge the hormone thing enough. And which I should, because I am at that time in my life when it's creeping up on me, and I do notice things changing, like my hair's changing and my nails, and things are different, definitely.
Maybe we're just like tracking it, even on the business side of things, like thinking, I'm not really feeling this great, and then just maybe, it might be like every single 4 to 5 weeks, it might just happen that you're having a blip those few days. It is really interesting.
I think I've definitely learned to be kinder to myself and think I know that there will be days when I just need to go and have a nap. And there will be days when, my office is at the end of the garden, I haven't got far to go, but there are days when I want to work on the sofa. And, actually last week, a couple of days I did. I had COVID at the beginning of the new year, and it knocked it out of me. And some days I thought I just need to lie here with my feet up. And I can still get some work done, but I'm going to be gentle to myself, and I'm not going to force myself to do something that I'm not quite ready to do yet.
Yeah, I agree. I was poorly in 2017 time with glandular fever, but I just kept going with it and kept working. But when I had COVID, and back then it was like you got to isolate for the 10, 11 days, I think I stayed in for. It was actually quite nice for me to actually stop. Because even when we're generally ill with any illness or autoimmune condition, we always feel like we've got to keep going. So that I think the making yourself actually sit with some of these COVID rules and actually have some time off will help everyone recover. Even if your symptoms are quite mild, it would just help you recover from, day-to-day life, really. I think it's a good excuse to have a good rest,
I completely agree. I started writing a blog on it the other day, and it was... the title was a thank you note to COVID, and I thought it might offend people, so because it's such it's obviously been so awful to so many people, and so I have changed the title, but it's ultimately about that. It's about that I was really fortunate that I got it quite mild. My husband was wiped out for a good 14 plus days really, but I was lucky and I had a cold. Ultimately, I felt a bit tired. But the break was incredible. I had so much clarity of what I wanted to do. I've got all these ideas with my business, and after getting through that, let's say I know I'm really lucky that I felt quite renewed. I was quite lucky that I got it at the beginning of the new year, really. It was a really good fresh start for me.
Yeah, that's how I was. I had a good few sofa days. Whereas when we just generally get poorly with anything, we carry on, don't we? We really have to push through and carry on, you know?
Isn't that funny? I thought exactly the same thing, yet because if we were labelled it COVID, and actually, in fact, the symptoms were, I probably had worse colds. I was like, oh, this is all right. I've got permission to sit on my sofa now and have people bring things to me and have Deliveroo deliver my shopping. Because I've got COVID, I haven't even got to go to the front door. I can just let them leave it there.
That's it.
When else in life do we get to do that? So hence my blog, thank you COVID.
But that's how I feel about women's hormones, because it is that accountability, not accountability is the right word, but that kind of acknowledgement to yourself that it's okay to have a day where you're not on form and you don't get the business stuff done, you don't do your fitness, you don't do everything in one day. As long as you can do one thing to help your mental health in those days, whether it be get up, get out in sunshine, or sit and have a bath, put a face mask on, just one thing, then you're winning, really, because life is tough, especially when you've got kids and you're self-employed, you're starting a new business. You know, even moving home, I moved home last year, and it was just the process of that was like stressful enough, and then actually moving, like redecorating, you know, you just get so tired, because at those points when I was actually moving and doing all the renovation work, I was seeing my regular clients, but I wasn't building my business at that time because I had nothing else, you know, I had no energy to do that. So I was aware of that, and I thought, right, I'm going to put a hold on building anything at the moment. I'm going to wait till these other elements have calmed down a bit, and then I've got the focus to, you know, focus on work or on training more, or, you know, that sort of side of things.
Yeah.
So, and also when you said about the fear of failing, what I wrote that down, jot it down, because who knows we failed? And I thought that was really interesting, because we've only got that fear of failing against ourselves, really, haven't we?
Yeah, and it's so often not proven. It's just another block that holds us back and keeps us safe. Ultimately, it's something that keeps us from sitting at the laptop and creating something, and makes us go make, you know, our 10th cup of tea for the day. You know, I said to you this before we started, but I think women are incredibly powerful beings. What we can do in life, what we create, you know, and I just think every woman deserves the right to be happy and not just to settle for the life that they currently find themselves in now. And no woman should have to think, okay, is this it? They've got incredible power, force, grit, determination. Generally put everyone first. They don't think of themselves. They just get up and do it anyway. And we're so much more than that. We're so much more than the overwhelm and the fear of failing and the worry of what, you know, what your mum, one of the mums at school is going to say if you say, well, I've decided I'm going to do this, or, you know, what your husband's going to comment on, or, you know, we're so much more than that. And we need to remove all those blocks, and I think with the right guidance and the right mindset, you know, we're so much more than we realise and give ourselves credit for. Yeah.
And it's not listening to yourself with all of that, the kind of unfactual inner voice that we tell ourselves, because some of those people who we think are going to criticise could actually turn around and be cheering us on.
Exactly.
Right, I'm going to leave it there, Kate, because we've really gone into it today, and we've got some amazing things. And listen, I would suggest to anyone who's listened to this, perhaps listen to it back and write some notes, because I think we've really keyed into some like really good points, haven't we?
Yeah. I feel like I'm on my soapbox, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. We should do one every single week. Any kind of like questions for me? Because if you wanted to like share this out with your potential clients, I don't know if you've got any particular question.
I think I'd be really keen to understand, you know, we've talked about when you're feeling low and hormonal, and when you just want to sit in and, you know, ignore the world. How do you find, what's the best motivator to think, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it. How do you make yourself do that?
I don't like the feeling later on in the day when I haven't achieved that one thing, no matter what that one thing is.
Okay.
So I am very much in tune with my body that especially, I mean, previously, years ago, I would have been going to the gym, and then just because this is my industry, okay, so I am a fitness instructor, but now I've scrapped that, and for me, just to get a nature or even exercise outside of my garden, that gets my mental clarity and just generally makes me feel a bit better in my own mental health. And I don't do it for a weight-related issue. I don't do it to get step count up. I don't do it because, in any relationship to food. It is generally, it just gets me going, just seeing the sun and getting out in nature.
Yeah.
And that's changed through kind of the COVID sort of pandemic, really, when I've sort of discovered more of a love for it. And a little bit of breath work as well, as just breathing and expanding the lungs and relaxing my shoulders. That's that sort of thing really would be my one thing for me to each day to kind of feel good about myself. So I've stepped away from the diets. I've stepped away from the overtraining. Like I said earlier in this, we're more than just how our body looks. So what would your one healthy habit be? It can be business, or it can be mindset, or even your own well-being. What's kind of your healthy habit that you would recommend?
So one thing that I got into recently, which I thought at the first scared me a bit, was meditation. And I thought meditation had to be some long process, sitting on your bottom with your legs crossed for hours on end. And actually what I try and do now is get up before everybody else, and I get my cup of tea and I sit in the chair and I just put some quiet music on, so many on them, Spotify or YouTube or whatever, and just sit, and I take some deep breaths and I imagine myself in my happy place, which is a beautiful beach in West Sussex that I love, that I used to spend a lot of time with as a kid, and I can put myself there now really quickly, and I sit there and I think about what I want my day to be like, what I need support with on that day, what's coming up, how I want it to go. And I'll think about my desires and my intentions. And I might only do it for 10 minutes, not very long. But it gets me before the rest of the day, and I get to just focus myself quietly.
Love that. And that's quite very similar thing to what I do on my walks. Like when I say about the breathing, that's like my little meditation time.
Right. So I didn't actually get a chance to do it this morning. I went swimming, so I kind of did it while I was swimming. You don't know the same thing, but I found I was really swimming slowly.
It totally is. Moving, breath work, moving, meditation. Like you don't have, like you say, you don't have to sit there cross-legged for ages and ages. You can do it as long as you got that awareness. Even driving somewhere, if you find your shoulders are up by your ears and you're really stressed, just relax the shoulders, take some deep breaths, do some box breath. And that still classes like the awareness of slowing down for your own health. Yeah, cool. Definitely. So where can people find you? Let us know your new website.
So my new website, my nice brand new shiny website is www.kate-curtis.com. I'm on Instagram at _Kate Curtis _. They're probably where I'm at most at the moment. I'm building up a Facebook group, but it's in early stages, and that's the Healthy Mind Hub for female entrepreneurs.
Brilliant. If you send me all the links, and I'll put them down.
Thank you.
In the description as well. Yeah, no, that's great. And also, have you got the link for that mind quote?
So it's Mind Booklet on how to improve mental wellbeing, and I just found it online. So I've got a link here, and I will send that to you, and you can pop it on your show notes.
Yeah, that'd be great, because I've just collaborating with Mind Charity down in East Hampshire and Havant. So I'm working very closely with Mind, because that's my local one. So it'd be really, really helpful for me to add that in the link as well. That's amazing.
Fantastic. Oh, I've so enjoyed our chat today.
Good. I love it. And if anyone's got any questions for me and Kate, then by all means, just ask away. Find us on socials, and we'll be happy to answer any questions, or just reach out to us if you want to work with us one-on-one. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very, very much for listening, and I'll catch you all next week for a solo episode. And then episode number 6 is going to be with a guest who I'm very, very much interested to interview again. I've got some amazing people coming. And again, we're going to delve a little bit more into women's health and hormones. Thank you very much. See you later.